Hey, Glen. My name is Rob Smith. I'm the current president of the Glen Owners Association, one of the members of the board. And real quickly, I want to go over the officers and the members and the board members, that kind of thing, because that was a recent, not necessarily a debate, but a recent question that came up. Some confusion came from a misunderstanding. So back in 2013, I put together an article. That article is available if you just want to skip watching a video. That article is still available. I think it's under the news section on the Glen Owners website. Like I said, it's from 2013. If you scroll back, it talks about who's in charge, and I think the title of it even is "I'm in charge" or something like that. So, or that's at least, there's like a sticker on there that looks like it's one of those. "Hi, my name is." It's one of those. Real quickly, let's talk about the differences though. So, we have an annual meeting every year, and the annual meeting is to elect the board members. And let's talk about who everybody is real fast as far as the roles. So when you buy a home here in Glen, you become an owner, and when you become an owner, you become a member of the homeowners association. That's absolutely required by the bylaws. Nobody can buy a home in Glen and not be a member of the homeowners association. So as a member, you have certain rights. One of the rights is you get to vote. You get to vote in annual elections, anything that's considered a majority vote requirement, changes to the bylaws, the declarations, covenants, that kind of stuff. You'll get a vote in that. It's one vote per household. A household is defined as a single-family home or a townhome here in Glen. So each townhome, there's 64 of the townhomes, each townhome gets one vote, and then the single-family homes, there are 229. I was trying to think off the top of my head because we lost 2 of the homes. So we have 229 homes. That's a total of 293 homes. Hopefully my math is coming out correctly here. So the 229 single-family homes each have one vote. So obviously if there was an issue that came up that was townhomes versus the single-family homes, you could run into an issue there where there's more townhome or more single-family home votes of 229 votes versus 64 townhomes. Now obviously, like any election, everybody's not going to vote, but if there was something where the townhomes definitely wanted it and it was positive to them, the single-family homeowners were against it, majority rule would always come into play. So it's important that you vote in all your elections and all your, I guess any vote that comes up here in the neighborhood. It's the closest level of government you have any control over. So the next thing we're going to look at is you've got your members, each member, and even that's why I said one vote per home. So if there's a husband and a wife that are both on the deed, it doesn't matter. It's still one person, one owner. So we have 293 votes, again, 293 members in the neighborhood who will have the opportunity once per year in an annual election according to our bylaws. And every neighborhood's different, so you might have come from another neighborhood where they would meet once a year and they would vote out 2 of their board members and elect in 2 new or something like that, but we don't have staggered elections. We have 5 board members that we re-elect. Now that's kind of a precedent at this point more than anything. We originally started off with 5 board members, so that's what we've held throughout the years. We could change that number if we felt like we needed to, but for a neighborhood of our size, 293 homes, 5 board members is generally pretty much it's a good representation. It's a good number. So you come into the annual meeting, if everything went exactly the way it should, we would have 5 people who would be elected by 293 votes. Now obviously if 5 people from the neighborhood, 5 different households decided that they wanted to be board members, let's say we had 20 people from the neighborhood who wanted to run for the board and we had 5 slots open, that means that those people who are running, they still get a vote because they still count for the election. So come into the room, you vote it down, and now you got your 5 board members. Now they don't have a president, a vice president, and all that. That's your officers, and that's where the confusion came in recently because we announced that there were 5 board members elected in one article and had the video showing that it was done. And then we had a separate video that we put out in a separate article that said the board members met to vote for the officers. So what happens is after your board members are voted in, the 5 people that the neighborhood picked to make the majority of the decisions for the next year for them, those board members then sit down in a separate meeting and they decide who will be the chairman of the board, the president, the vice president, the secretary, and the treasurer. Those are the officer positions we have. So the confusion as far as well, I thought we had 5 board members, but there were only 4 names listed for the officers. It's because they're separate. By our rules, we have to have the president and the vice president have to be members of the board. So of those 5 people who were elected by the neighborhood, the president must be selected from that group and the vice president may be selected. Now the treasurer and the secretary, the treasurer really is a position where you always need somebody who has a financial background. That's the ideal situation, that we get a financial person in there. But we're not always going to have that on the board. Maybe the people who ran for the board, none of them had a financial background. But we may know somebody here in the neighborhood who's not willing to serve on the board because of the time constraints required, or maybe they just didn't get voted in. They were willing to run on the board, but people in the neighborhood just didn't vote for them. In that situation, the board could actually elect the treasurer from outside the board. And the same thing for the secretary. A lot of times a person who's good at keeping the notes and then getting those minutes typed up and getting that information out into the neighborhood and following through with that kind of stuff, maybe they're not a part of the skill set that ended up on the board. So in that case, the same thing could happen. Again, the president and the vice president, they have to come from the board. No choice around that. However, we can select a secretary and a treasurer from outside the board. And those 2 officers would have no board vote. The board votes if the board met to, let's say, decide on a new vendor for the trash company. So we decide that the trash vendor who's doing the townhomes needs to be replaced. The board would handle that vote. So if we had a situation where we had 5 board members, the president and the vice president are members of the board, but for whatever reason we've elected from the board, they've elected a secretary and a treasurer who are officers but not on the board, those 2 people, the treasurer and the secretary, would be present for the board meeting because of their position as officers. However, when the vote happened, they would not have a board vote. They would just be voices like anybody else in the neighborhood, membership voices, if they were asked to come in and give their opinions. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. So you've got the president, the vice president, the secretary, and the treasurer. Those are your board members, or those are your officers. Now I'm mixing it up. And then you've got your board members who are separate. They can be the same people. Sometimes they won't be. Members are the people who elect the board elects the officers. The management company is just a vendor that's paid to manage our resources. They're not in charge of anything. We've had situations in the past where somebody's wrote a letter saying that they're mad at the president or the vice president. They want something done to them, but they don't actually have that authority. So the management company works for the board. They work directly with the president as their main point of contact, but they're not actually in charge of anything here in our neighborhood. They work for you, the membership. That's it. The committees are just people from outside. The board, people we ask to come and handle it. Sometimes they're handled by the board, but committees are created and done away with as the board feels free. And that pretty much covers all of it. I think I should cover all the positions. I don't want to go too long with the video. Hopefully I answered some questions. If you have other questions, remember you can contact us through AlmondGlenHOA.com. That's our webpage, or AlmondGlenHOA.org. It'll get you to the same place. And then AlmondGlenHOA@gmail.com. That's the email for the board. In addition to that, we have a Facebook page. You just go in and type in Almond Glen HOA into Facebook and search for it. You'll find the Almond Glen Facebook page. And then there's also Almond Glen Friends, which is a member group that was started years and years ago by some folks that don't even live here in the neighborhood anymore. They've since moved on, but they left the page to us. So Almond Glen Friends is also available. That's a closed group if you want to go in there and learn about the neighborhood. And then you can also go to Nextdoor.com. If you go to Nextdoor.com, you put in your address, and if you're not verified by records they already had, somebody from the neighborhood will be able to verify you and get you into that group. And again, that's a geographically controlled group, so it's another closed group, but it also gives you access to things around the area. So trying to make things available to you. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video.